So we can go ahead.
Yeah. Sorry. Thank you for waiting patiently. Thank you, Enrica. Hello, everyone. My name is Sanzana, and I'm a PhD student at UFT. In today's presentation, we're going to share the findings from our funded ongoing research, for which I'm working as a graduate assistant. In this research, we investigated language teachers' agency with regards to plurilingualism, technology-mediated teaching and learning, and action-oriented approaches.
Yeah, sure.
It doesn't work with this. Thank you. Okay, there we go. Thank you. Now, this presentation will cover four key issues, starting with project background, where we talk about the context, previous research background, and theoretical framework. Then we move on to discuss the main focus, goals, design, and methodology of our research. We are currently in a stage where we are pleased to share some of the preliminary findings regarding the opportunities and challenges that we have discovered from the data. And finally, we are going to share the subsequent research phases, as well as ways for you to get involved with us in this project. Our project originally originated from the Linker project, which developed and piloted an innovative pedagogical framework, embedding an action-oriented, technology-mediated, and plurilingual approach. This framework was structured around real-life scenarios supported by an interactive website and an online portfolio with reflective and interactive self-assessment tools. The results from the Linger project confirmed that the online pedagogical resources developed that have encouraged plurilingual attitudes, behavior, and engaged, action-oriented, and collaborative language learning. I will come back to this slide in a moment. One of the Linger's troubling findings was that while some of the teachers developed a sense of agency and openness towards innovative approaches to pedagogy, some of the teachers were found to be reluctant to consider pedagogical change. They tended to rely on traditional mechanical activities around rote learning with a curriculum exclusively driven by grammar, vocabulary, and monolingual disposition. This is a critical issue that we felt requires further investigation and collaboration with teachers in order to understand the nature of teacher agency within specific teaching and socio-political contexts, which can then inform relevant strategies and modalities for professional development. This led us to embark on this project, Advancing Agency and Language Education, in short, ALE. Coming back to this slide, for this project, three frameworks: plurilingualism that values learners' linguistics and cultural resources, technology-mediated learning that encourages the use of digital and multimodal technologies, and finally, action-oriented approach that focuses on realistic, meaningful, and transferable language use that promotes engaging, collaborative, and non-linear learning. These three together act as guiding pillars for our research. Now I'll let Danielle to take over from here. From this slide, right? One more. Yeah. One more. Okay. Yeah.
This project spans over 3 provinces with 4 linguistically diverse areas: English as a second language, French as a second language, and German as a foreign language. Our principal investigator is Enrica Piccardo, co-principal investigators Jeff Lawrence, Angelica Galante, and Aline Gelmain Rutherford. And there's a bunch of research assistants and collaborators attached to this, some of whom are in the room today. And as Sanzana explained, The goals of the project relate to examining the interplay between teacher beliefs, knowledge, context, and practice in relation to the interconnected elements of technology, plurilingualism, and the action-oriented approach, and how that all relates to teacher agency. So the first step really was to understand teacher beliefs and practices. Another goal is to collaborate with teachers to design teacher-centered PD and resources. This is a future step coming up, and to evaluate the capacity of the toolkit that will be created to initiate and sustain language teaching innovation within different contexts. This is the project methodology. Starting off, so first off, it's a mixed method approach, really looking at teachers' lived experience with the three key pillars that are attached to this. This project has been, the beginning portion has been examined through Q methodology as a mixed method, which is a fairly new methodology to be seen within second language education. Looking here at the systemic analysis of teacher viewpoints, and we'll talk a little bit more about this a bit later, so I'm not going to go into too much detail, but that was the first stage, was Q methodology. The second phase was that's where we are right now really, is the self-reflection, looking at what's actually happening within teachers' environments, what resources are suggested. So there's how are they using it within the classroom, for example. And then we'll be going into phase 3. We're not there yet, to work with teachers to develop and refine this toolkit. And then finally doing a validation stage related to the toolkit and evaluating the impact that it has on educators. So the first phase, and this one is done now, was surveying language teachers' beliefs on technology-mediated, action-oriented, and plurilingual approaches across the 4 hubs. So I didn't quite mention that in detail of that first slide, but we have different hubs within Alberta, Ontario, and Quebec. So we're drawing information there to really give us a broad understanding of what's happening in different parts of the country. So from there, we used a Q methodology process, and also from there were interviews. The phase that we're in right now is examining language teacher practices. So once they've done that Q methodology piece, what does this actually look like in the classroom? So we're working with educators to share practical examples within their own space of what they're doing. And also there's a reflection process attached to that, group interviews, and there's a survey that we would love people to fill out who are here as well to help us with this research. So going back to Q methodology, the systemic study of participants' perspectives about an issue. And what you have to do is you have to rank them or put them into buckets, if you think about it that way, in terms of your beliefs. And for our project, there was a scale of 2 going one way and 2 going the other way. And I had a very unique perspective because I, at the time, was able to participate, and now I'm on the research team. So I can speak about what that felt like as well. So the 2 key aspects of the methodology is first the data collection of the Q sort. So how did people sort their buckets, basically? And then doing a data analysis through factor analysis. And we're using a software called CADE that helps to group people's perspectives. And then we analyze through there to identify, why are they grouped this way? What can we pull from that information? Okay.
Let's see. Yeah, trying this. Yeah, it's arriving. One more. Right.
Okay. Let's see there. So I basically just described this already in what I had just said. So using the Q methodology, we took a 5-step process. The first was drafting Q statements. And there's an example there. The teacher should encourage learners to alternate and or mix languages as they see fit when communicating with others. So the idea here is, where do you put it in the bucket, right? In terms of the -2 or the +2. So the first stage was generating these statements that cover AOA, plurilingualism, and technology. And then working as a research team to refine and reduce the statements so that it would be more manageable. And where we landed was a total of 90 statements, 30 for each pillar, if you can imagine AOA, plurilingualism technology. And then it was piloted. And 5 experts took a look, made some revisions, made suggestions. From there is where the idea of the focus group came. So you could see that the research is responsive as well to the process. Then we looked at it through the software, had the focus groups to be able to really identify those key pieces.
Here we have a summary of our preliminary findings after working with the participants in the first phase of the project. First, we look at some of the opportunities that participants pointed out for implementing plurilingual action-oriented approach and technology-mediated pedagogies. Regarding plurilingual pedagogies, some of the participants argue that a plurilingual approach offers the possibility for students to reflect on the language use and use their linguistic repertoire. There is the belief that the action-oriented approach promotes real-life communication and the implementation of authentic activities in the classroom, and that the use of technology in the classroom allows for more opportunities for collaborative activities and enables a shift in classroom dynamics that moves away from traditional teachers and learners roles. Now, in terms of the challenges, teachers express their concerns about not being able to implement plurilingual pedagogies because of a teaching context where employers, colleagues, students might have a target language only mindset in the classroom. How the implementation of action-oriented approaches requires a bigger effort from the teachers and might not align with established language programs and curricular expectations. And regarding the use of technology, developing the necessary digital skills to work with technology and having limited access to resources and research can be challenging factors for effective integration of technology in the classroom. And to gain a deeper insight into the participants' contributions that led to these findings, we have some of the participants' comments from the focus groups we conducted. So we'll start with comments about challenges. And for instance, a participant reflected on how the teacher's ability to implement plurilingual pedagogies might be limited, constrained by the teaching context. Another participant pointed out how the selection and adaptation of authentic materials for the class can be difficult. And there is also a comment on that it's not only developing the necessary digital skills to work with technology, but also to know how to appropriately integrate technology to work with the students. If we look at comments referring to opportunities, it is interesting to see how a participant acknowledged that it is time to move on from grammar books and a more traditional approach to teaching to make the classroom a more lifelike experience. Other teachers commented that the use of technology allows for the inclusion of more flexible and adaptable learning opportunities, and that encouraging learners to have plurilingual discussions takes away the fear of learning a new language. So what is next? We are now immersed in phase 2. We continue collecting more information about teachers, about their practices. In phase 3, we will develop and pilot the toolkit for professional development in collaboration with some of these teachers. And in phase 4, we will evaluate the implementation of the toolkit. Here are for references. Well, thank you very much for your time, for listening. Do you have any questions?
I'll speak to this. Yes, and say something.
Yeah. We just want to say, I'm sure everyone here can relate to really wanting to get participants. We would really love if you're able to share the survey that we have here or complete it yourself if it's relevant to you. Right now, the landscape surveys are getting a broad understanding of what's happening within language education is available in English. If you hover over the QR code in French, and German is in development right now. If you're interested in participating in this project, please reach out to one of us on the slide there, and we'll be happy to have a conversation and hopefully be able to include you within the project. So thank you very much, and we're happy to answer any questions.
So if you have any questions or in the chat,